I think someone just walked in. So grab yourselves a seat and get ready to be entertained and educated, because I guarantee you, you're going to have a great time. So, this particular gentleman needs no introduction, but I'm going to do it anyway. I would say we all know who he is. He's very controversial, very provocative, and always entertaining, and he definitely has an alien-like sixth sense. So, what I would like to do is, without further ado, welcome Mr. John McAfee to the stage. Let's give him a huge round of applause. And I've got to do something for my mom.
Thank you, sir.
All right. It's her birthday. I'm going to take a picture like this. Everyone say hi. Here we go. Hi, Mom. No, right. I appreciate it. Take it away.
Okay. All right. Now, if my 800,000 Twitter followers are any indication statistically of the composition of this room, then 1/2 of you are going to hate me, and the other half are unaccountably going to like me. So, I don't have a prepared talk. I never have a prepared talk. I walk on the stage and I look at you folks and go, what is it you want to hear? And I'm not going to tell you what you want to hear. I'm going to tell you what I want to say. In any case, my Twitter following and the likes and dislikes is representative of the entire crypto community. And you know this for a fact. You are latching onto a certain token or a certain coin, and some of you become almost Gestapo-like. I mean, we have the Verge following. God forbid anybody speak badly about Verge. Tron. You know, I jokingly made the coin of the week the Doge coin, right, which is the joke coin of this world, and believe it or not, it actually went up some. So the very few people who have humor, even in the humor, it's dark. I mean, what are the funniest things we see? Okay, we see Adolf Hitler in a movie representation going, no fucking dog is taking us to the moon. And yet, it's funny. But most of us are serious, and way too serious. And here's why. You know, we are kind of at war with each other. Promote my coin. Promote my ICO. If you don't, then, you know, F you. And so that's what it is. And yet, we are really at war. This is the problem. I beg your pardon?
Let's just adjust your microphone a little bit. There we go. Give that a try.
Is that better?
Is that better?
Okay. Is that better? Okay. No, we are truly at war, and we should not be at war with each other. We are at war with the old world order. And if you do not believe it, take any random day for the past 6 months and see if you can't find one piece of news which is negative toward the new order, the new paradigm, which is putting the old order upside down. We have banks that are no longer accepting payment for cryptocurrencies using their credit cards. We have governments outlawing ICOs, exchanges, and commerce using cryptocurrency. But has anything truly changed in terms of what we are able to do? No. Do you think the Chinese people are not using cryptocurrencies because there is legislation against it? Of course not. Half the problem with the dip that we've seen in the past few weeks was the Chinese waiting until the end of Chinese New Year to start using cryptocurrencies and investing again. This is what happens. We also have within this group a almost a paranoid sense of, oh my God, it's crashing. What I'd like you to do is think about the following. The crypto world is compressed in time tremendously compared to the old world of fiat currency and fiat financing. Because what happens? If I'm a company and I'm using fiat in the old world order, I've got a 30-day net return before someone's going to pay me. Even if I get an instantaneous wire transfer, it is not instantaneous. It takes 24 hours in many cases, especially if it's overseas. And what does it take using Ethereum in most cases? A few minutes at most. So what's happening? The transactions are speeding up because the person I give my currency to has to wait to get my currency before they can pay whatever they got their product from, for example. And it's instantaneous. So all of the fluctuations are compressed. Why don't you take Bitcoin's chart, stretch it by 2 orders of magnitude, and take a look at it? It looks just like General Motors, or Chrysler, or any other traditional company. So obviously, when the analyst from the old world order starts saying, oh my God, this is, it's chaos, it is unstable. No, not at all. It's just that the instabilities in the old marketplace are being compressed. Just try it. Stretch it out by 100 times and take a look. No, it's just like, for every few months there's an up and down in any traditional stock. So what's happening is that people are using the standards and the tools. Here's the problem with my glasses. Hang on. There, that's all that. So the analysts in the old world order are using the tools, the functions, the concepts, the formulas, and the ideas that they grew up with and work. Well, those functions and concepts do not work in the world of crypto. Now, why are we at war? Number one, the old world order has a power structure that has been in place for thousands of years. Money flows to the top. Those at the top become powerful. The powerful become corrupt, and society becomes pushed down. We become sheep or slaves to the order that has existed for thousands of years. But what happens in cryptocurrency? We don't have anybody at the top. I need no one's permission to do what the hell I want with any of my wallets and any of my currencies. I can give them away. I can buy something. I don't have to call my bank and say, would you transfer, da-da-da-da. No. If I've got it, I buy it. Nobody's permission is needed. And if I'm using a privacy coin like Monero, then nobody knows who I am, where I am, who the receiver is, or if I'm receiving, who the sender is. We are anonymous. And this is what scares people. It scares governments because most governments collect their revenues based on our income. I'm a libertarian. I believe that taxation is theft. It's not in our Constitution. But in the old order, try getting away with not paying taxes. In our order, try to collect those taxes. Try to find out my income. Think about it. This is the frightening thing. 80% of all of the revenues come from the sweat of your brow. The government's saying, well, we don't care if it's your work. For 3 months, you're going to work for me and pay me. That's going to go away. Because how are they going to know what you bought, what you got, what you earned? It would require an enforcement officer for every human being in the world. It cannot be done. So governments are doing what they always have done, which is create legislation to try to solve a problem. In the 1930s, they legislated away alcohol. During that period, which we now call Prohibition, America consumed more alcohol per capita than at any period before or after. In America, most of the states have legislation banning the use of weed. I mean, I saw people smoking weed in a hotel last night. No policeman came in and arrested them. So governments always do this. The Congress, the Senate, whatever body within any government that creates laws is foolish enough to think that just because they make cryptocurrencies illegal, that that's going to solve the problem. Now, we can all go back to work and not worry about Bitcoin. That's the idiocy of governments. They never learn from past experiences. So what is going to happen is legislation in every country in the world banning us. I spoke in Hong Kong in September? Pardon? Yes. Yes, okay. I was supposed to speak in Beijing 1 week before the BitCan conference, which is one of the largest crypto conferences in China. China banned ICOs. Well, I was speaking about ICOs. So if I got on stage and talked about it, I'd now be in jail in China learning Chinese and eating rice. So instead, they moved the conference to Hong Kong 1 week. They only had 1 week notice. To our credit as a community, not one speaker did not show up, and the conference was still full. We all had to change our itineraries, our plans, everything, and we showed up in Hong Kong, and it was the most solidifying feeling to speak to a group of people who were all refugees. I got up and said, "We are refugees." The first refugees in an ongoing war that will not end for many years. And we were, and you will all be too at some point. The question is, are you prepared for this war? There'll be no bloodshed, there'll be no harm, but there will be finger pointing, anger, attempts to restrict, examples made. Well, I already know what some of the first examples will be. It's going to be the most outspoken asshole among us, which is me. And so, but I've had a lifetime of being an example, and I've been in jails in almost every country in the world, so I know how to get along. And it will be brief in any case. So are you prepared, though? Are you prepared for the hostility of your bank? For example, 2 of our banks that we use suddenly last month said, we are not accepting any cash from any cryptocurrency exchange. If it's coming from Coinbase, fuck you, we're not taking it. Now, seriously, that's some scary stuff, isn't it? I mean, what am I going to do? I can't write checks on my Coinbase account. So this is going to continue to happen and become worse and worse. And governments are going to make threats. If you use cryptocurrency, it's 6 months in jail, $10,000 fine. Ignore it. These are empty threats designed to do one thing: create fear. And they've been really successful, starting with Jamie Dimon in last July or August, who is the chairman of the world's probably second largest bank, America's largest bank, JP Morgan, came out on CNN or CNBC and said, Bitcoin is a fraud. Well, if you guys remember that far back, that's a long time in this community, Bitcoin dropped 40% in value overnight. The following day, I went on CNBC and I called 2 things a fraud. Number one, Jamie Dimon. And number two, the US dollar. Now, I know this is not a valid comparison, but I said, and at the time, I was one of the largest Bitcoin miners around. Said it cost me $2,500 to create a Bitcoin. What does it cost to create a $100 bill? 6 cents. Which one is the fraud? Not that the cost of producing something is equivalent to value, but it's the best I could come up with on short notice. So, nevertheless, think about it. We have a proof of work, at least in some of the coins. So they are not fraud. Things are worth what people are willing to pay for them. End of story. That's what value is. And at the time, people were willing to pay $6,000 for a Bitcoin. That's what it was worth. There is no fraud. It has a finite number of coins. There's no one behind the curtain going, yes, I'm going to come out with 2 billion coins in 2035. No. There's nothing about it that says fraud. There's everything about it that says superiority to any other fiat or any fiat currency. Speed of transaction, ease of use, privacy, anonymity, and most important, at least to me, it is permissionless. Permissionless. What does that mean? It means you are the God of your life financially. That your wallet is your bank. Is it not now? To do a wire transfer, I've got to get out of bed, get into a car, drive down to the bank, and I couldn't even do that until recently. I'd been a year without a license for a DUI. Drive to the bank, fill out some forms, and sometimes the bank would call back and say, well, you have the wrong address on the receiver side. What? Whose address? The bank's address, the receiver's address? Maybe both. It's a nightmare. Instead, I pick up my smartphone, I copy and paste an address, and hit send, and go back to sleep. Now, which one is the fraud? The one that costs me time and energy and confusion also costs me money. The other, virtually free, depending upon the currency that you use. So we are at war, and you are going to be the soldiers. Now, what are you going to do? Are you going to stand back and hope that nothing touches you and let the rest of us do the dirty work and get the finger pointing and the egg in the face? No one gets more egg in the face than me. Or are you going to participate and help? And it's fear that's the killer. What is it that really caused the drop in all the cryptocurrency prices a month and a half ago? Fear. On my Twitter, every day I kept saying, please, God, people, see how temporary this is. Even putting charts up showing every time this year the same goddamn thing happens. No. Everybody's dumping, oh my God, I'm losing. No, you haven't lost a thing unless you sell. Now what's happening now? Bitcoin is over $10,000. Again, that's not high. It's way better than it was 4 weeks ago. Fear. And who instills the fear? What started all of this? India cracking down with legislation. Banks refusing to accept credit card payments for cryptocurrencies. The SEC making threatening noises and motions. All of this combined frightened some of us. How can you have fear when you are solidly behind an unstoppable force? And that's what we are behind, and that's what we are using, and that is our weapon. A mathematical certainty that we will succeed. And I'm going to shut up and ask questions, or let you ask questions, because certainly my haters have a list of thousands. So if you guys will raise your hands first, we'll take you. Yes, sir. Good hater. Love this.
Okay, sure. quick question for you is on November 2nd of last year, there was a fellow named Doug Casey, fairly well known, who said that there's a coin you're coming out with associated with the country of China. Wondering if you'd comment or give us some ideas what might be happening.
Yeah, well, like with most things that I attempt to do with any degree of sincerity, the world smacks me on the head with a hammer. So yeah, I was in fact working with the largest venture fund in all of China. And we were coming out with the McAfee coin, and its purpose was to let you and the people choose where venture funding goes. Instead of some analyst sitting in a room, with glasses and never seeing the light of day going, well, this idea for a tomato that will roll down a conveyor belt without bruising, we can sell to Monsanto for $1 billion, which doesn't do me any good because it's going to taste bad anyway. We can go, well, how about this? How about this renewable energy project? Because if you have 50 million people all voting on where money goes to create the basic technology in which our children, and possibly even ourselves, are going to be living, then we're going to have a better world, a far better world. And the venture funders are going to make more money because it's already vetted. Now, however, China came in and stopped everything, both the venture fund that I was working with and everything else.
So they were never on board in the first place.
I'm sorry?
Were they ever on board as a country or just people in China that were working with you? Because
no, it was a venture fund. It was the largest fund. They had $40 billion in a war chest, and they were going to let the coin decide where that money was going to be placed. Gotcha. So they were on board.
All right.
But the Chinese, but hang on, I'm sorry. But to continue, we're still doing a McAfee coin. I'm doing it now with a Russian company with a different focus, and I'll tell you about it much later. Yes, ma'am.
I met you last night, thank you. Question, you recommend ICOs on your Twitter to your followers. How do you decide what's the qualifications for finding something and talking about it?
Okay, so what I do is every couple of weeks I put out a call for white papers. The last time we got over 200 in 1 week. So my team and I, and some of them are sitting over here in this line here, and I work them 18 hours a day, 7 days a week, and pay them $5 an hour. But anyway, they're good people. So they go through the white papers. The first thing that we ask is this something I would like, you would like? For example, one of the nicest I had seen was an ICO called Outings. Outings standing for, it's a weekend, I'm going on an outing with my family. You have tokens, you have an app. And let's say we're going out, and my family likes street musicians. And we're living in LA, where at any given time, there's got to be 1,000 of them playing somewhere, but where the heck are they? So I just put in, I'm looking for street musicians or mimes or whatever. So other people with the app are walking by, oh, there's a street musician. They put in, just saw a street musician. And then my app will connect with theirs, and the guy says, well, for 5 outings, which is tokens, I'll tell you where it is. Then I head right there, and we'll pick the closest one. Among other things that it did, and I said, good God, if I'd had that as a young man, I would have had more sex, I would have had more of everything. So, yes, I like that idea. So, number 1, do we like it? Number 2, is it real? And here is the problem. So months ago, I made a mistake by recommending a coin, or an ICO called FINA coin. Looked pretty good. They let me talk to their chief technologist, had a British accent, was in London, talked to him for an hour, asked him all the techie questions. You've got a computer, no memory, 2 registers. You want to change the content of register 1 with register 2, using only Boolean mathematics. How many people know the answer to that? What is it, sir? No hand. Okay. XOR AB, XOR BA, XOR AB. Very simple, but few people know. I said right off the bat. So afterwards, I'm going, great. Now, it turns out he had nothing to do with the company. He was paid $10,000 to spend 1 hour talking to me. Okay, we found out later it was a Nigerian scam. So after that, I posted an apology on my Twitter, and it will never happen again because now I have a group of hackers in Chicago that take every single one that we would like to do and audit it to the point that they find the email addresses of all of the past email addresses of every member of the team, the websites they've ever been associated with, the companies that they've ever been associated with, has the white paper been plagiarized, et cetera, et cetera. If you've seen one of those audits, you'll see how detailed it is. Now, this is how scammy things get. We found one. Hey, Jimmy, which one was the one where there were no real people? It doesn't matter. But one of them, every single person on the team, and there were about 15, were fake. And they even got confused themselves in the white paper by saying, so-and-so is the CEO here, and he's one of the programmers 4 pages later. So that's how bad it is. So we've got to pass that. The next thing is, so you're not really trying to scam us. You do intend to produce a coin, get it on an exchange, and do the work. The question is, can you? Like, I'd love the idea of a time machine, and so we're building a time machine, but I doubt that you can do it, sir. So many of these, the developers, the founders, the staff, we don't think have the capacity to actually build and produce in the time frame that they say exactly what they say. If they have done this, then we contact them. We send them our audit for free, say, would you like our help? Everybody says yes. Does that answer the question?
It absolutely does. Thank you.
Thank you. All right.
All right, we got one from that came in through the poll, which is, what other coins are you mining besides Bitcoin right now?
I'm mining none. I left my company 3 weeks ago. Not because there's anything wrong with mining. It's just because after 2 years of doing it, and you know, we had about 15,000 S9s when I left. It's the most boring thing on the planet. Oh, I mean, really, it is. I mean, it's a formula. What's the difficulty rate? What's your hash rate? How many fans have you installed this week or that have burned out? You know, what's the projected weather? No, please. It's trivial. And I got tired. And I'm having more fun doing full-time, working with these bright people here.
Thanks for coming, John. Could you speak to Bitmain's Jihan Wu? I know you knew him well, and also kind of about decentralization and difference between Bitcoin and Bitcoin Cash, and kind of how you see mining and decentralization going forward.
Okay, let me start by saying that Jihan Wu is one of my very close friends. I respect him tremendously, and he is brilliant. And he is, believe it or not, whether you like it or not, the most influential man in this entire movement. And this is why many of you do not like him. You want everything to be decentralized. In Satoshi's white paper, did he say anything about mining versus the people who are participating in the use of a coin? If you grab a Bitcoin, do you care whether I mined it or whether Jihan mined it? No, it's your Bitcoin, you've got it. There's no name on it. It's yours. So mining is a business. It was designed to be a business. What do businesses do? They consolidate. They become monolithic, and they compete. I mean, you know, while I was doing mining for a year and a half, do you think that I was dancing in the fields with all of my competitors singing songs? Hell no. I was making sure they never, ever found out where my facility was or how much I paid for electricity or anything that would give them a competitive advantage. So now, you're looking at miners going, oh my God, you know, they're powerful. They're going to shut down when the last Bitcoin is mined. And if you want to know how I get my projections for Bitcoin, why don't we take the last Bitcoin? Let's say there's 50,000 miners, and we're spending billions of dollars a month trying to mine this last Bitcoin. What do you think the value of that coin is going to be? Whatever that value is, it's got to be worth it. And I promise you, all of us will, for the first time, have cooperated, saying, okay, we're all going to share it when we get it. Work backwards from that. And you tell me that $1 million at the end of 2020 is extreme. Please, God, use your head, use some math, get a slide rule, or run a chart and see, okay? Next.
First, I'd like to apologize to everyone here. My question is, can I pay you to take you to dinner anywhere or 10 minutes of your time for a conversation? That's it.
I'm sorry?
Can I pay you to take you to dinner anywhere you'd like to go or for 10 minutes of your time, a conversation? That's it.
There's this great restaurant in Tokyo that I've been dying to get back to. Okay?
I'm ready
on,
to leave.
player.
I'm ready to leave. I'm ready to leave. I'm serious. Anybody want to? I'll see you in Nassau at the next conference.
Thank you, sir.
Hello, Mr. McAfee. Thank you for being here. So my question is also about mining, and I realize I guess you've gotten out of the space recently, but the Bitcoin network currently uses an incredible amount of power, right, in its hashing operations, about as much as a small country, and there's reason to believe it could go up a lot higher. So as someone who's been involved in mining a lot, I was wondering if you could comment on kind of how you see this challenge unfolding and what, if anything, could be done about it. Thank you.
Well, that is probably one of the best questions I've had today. And obviously, I've spent a great deal of time thinking about it, as have all miners, because what is our biggest concern? Electricity. What's it going to cost per kilowatt hour? Where can we get it for free, et cetera? But here's something interesting about human culture. Once culture becomes stressed in any way, shape, or form, like now we're stressing electricity production. Well, I would love to see, for example, a battery the size of a quarter which produces all the power in the world forever. Now, I think something that will eventually come. Maybe quantum computing will get it. But I do know this, that the stress on our electrical utilities will create an opportunity for entrepreneurs and creative thinkers to come up with new ways to create and distribute electricity. And if you think that I'm pie in the sky, I am the most distrustful person on this planet. And yet I believe that statement fully.
Thanks.
Hey, I'd like to hear you speak a little bit more on privacy and security and the importance of securing your data. And, like the only alternative to Google we have is DuckDuckGo and Scout.click. So I'd like to hear your thoughts more on, security, privacy, and decentralizing those monoliths in that context.
Sure. Well, privacy is one of my one of my hot topics, and there are two sides of this coin. Governments, people in power, the existing structure would like you to believe that if you have nothing to hide, you have nothing to fear. Well, I ask you to look into your own lives. And does anybody here have nothing to hide? It's not do you have something to hide, it's from whom do you have the multiple things that you're hiding? If any of you are having or have had an affair, I doubt it, then you probably wanted to hide that effect from your spouse. If anybody have played hooky from work and was really playing golf, you probably wanted to hide that fact from your boss. If you've cheated on your taxes or forgotten to include some income, you probably would like to hide that fact from the IRS. If anybody here smokes weed, and I doubt that too, then if you're in a state in which it is illegal, you are probably wanting to hide that fact from the local authorities. Please, God, look at your lives. You have a million things that you are now hiding from somebody or some entity. So when someone says, you got nothing to hide, you got nothing to fear, you look around and go, well, who the hell is that? Because none of us fit in that category of nothing to hide. So you don't buy that crap. Don't even self-delude yourself into thinking, oh, well, I got nothing to hide. Bullshit. You have everything to hide if you're human. We're a bundle of opposites. You know, we love and we have grace and compassion, but we're also jealous and angry and hostile. We're just a mixed bag, and as long as we are this mixed bag, I promise you, you will have something to hide. So don't buy that. Privacy and security. What is society if we have no privacy? If we have no security, either financially, physically, or in any other way? Without privacy and without security, we will have chaos, beginning with a bunch of spouses being shot in the streets. So please, God, don't buy it, and that's all I have to say on it, sir.
Thanks. Hi, John. Earlier you mentioned there is an ongoing war and government's knee-jerk reaction to these revolutionary technologies. Where do you see the next battles being fought in the space? And can you comment on decentralized exchanges?
There's the first word today I've heard, decentralized exchanges. This is the answer. Because here is the beauty of technology. And I know this better than anybody in this room, having been the leading antivirus developer for many, many years. I know for a fact that whatever I developed to stop these hackers, they are going to develop something to bypass what I have. This is an ongoing war. And this war was fairly evenly matched. The hacker's very clever. Perhaps I'm very clever. I used to be. It was an evenly matched thing. What government can possibly match the technological creativity that is collectively coming from the community of cryptocurrency? No government can match that. They match it by brute force of law and enforcement, both of which fail miserably when distributed exchanges come into being. And what is a distributed exchange? There is no central server to shut down. There is no office to raid. The exchange is the 10 million people using this wallet or using this platform. So it is the future, and you should support them whenever they crop up. And we're constantly looking for valid ICOs that can provide a powerful and functional distributed exchange. Thank you, sir.
Thanks, John.
Hi, thanks for coming. It's great to have you. And quick question about the fight with governments, and they're pushing back. The old guard has their lobbyists. Can we have our lobbyists and do an ICO that funds our interests in Washington and all over the world, and decentralize and use those funds to hire lobbyists, 501c? What would you think about if we all jump on that?
We will eventually have that. Unfortunately, we have one lobbyist today, and he's standing in front of you. And as your profound lobbyist, I get trashed. Okay. I get trashed not just by the governments, but by the half of you who naturally hate me, and I will accept that. I love you whether you hate me or not. So, yes, sir.
Okay, thank you.
Hey, John, how you doing?
Good.
Immense respect. Thank you for leading this industry and being a shill for a lot of great projects in the scene. I got two questions for you. First one, how do you feel about 2018? What do you think are going to be the leading killer applications of blockchain this year?
Okay, the first one, I just stated the number one, which is distributed exchanges. Number two, it's going to be the collecting of multiple, or hopefully all, of the cryptocurrencies into one platform, call it a wallet, a meta wallet, whatever, in which you don't have to worry about, some 144-digit strange-looking number that you continually lose and disassociate with the person, or any of these things, to solve the human interface. Why are we not bigger? Because look at what it took you, and most of you were probably technologists when you started. Look at what it took you to actually get a handle on this. And for me, I don't clearly have a full handle even yet. I'm constantly losing something because of the nightmares of what one has to go through to actually use this. How do you buy Bitcoin? Well, that's step one. How to buy any coin? Step one. How do you exchange it? Step two. If I need some cash, how do I get it out? Well, there's a serious problem. So this has to be solved. And those platforms which make it absolutely seamless and easy for a mother of 6 kids or a plumber who can barely get onto the internet to use cryptocurrencies, buy them, and cash them out. And eventually cashing them out would be senseless because there will be no cash. The currency you're using will be accepted everywhere. So that's going to be the big things. These two things, distributed exchanges and the collection of all this nightmarish user interfaces into something common that we can all understand. Imagine what a nightmare it would be if you got off the airplane, rented a car, and Chevrolet had the brake on the right and the gas on the left. What would you do? Standardization. Something that we can all agree on, accept, and get behind. Right now, that's impossible. Everybody's behind their own little thing. But eventually, you will see the wisdom of cooperation. Thank you.
And last question. This one's a bit more off the cuff.
You said only 2.
Yeah, 2.
Oh,
So
okay.
this is the second question.
Oh, wait.
So this one's a bit more off the cuff. You mentioned Bitcoin hitting 1 million by 2020. Do you still plan to eat your own dick if that happens?
My wife is sitting over here. I think that, by the way, she will tell you, I'm Irish. I have never lost a bet, and I will not lose this one, okay? But if something does happen, she will whisk me out of the country under, with a gun to my head or something. But barring that, yeah, I will. There's no chance. Please, God, do what I said to begin with. Look at what the last Bitcoin has to cost, even at the most minimal amount, with thousands of people spending billions of dollars trying to mine it. What is that sucker going to be worth? And work backwards, all right? Thank you.
Thank you, John.
All right, we've got time for one more question. And the bad guy.
How you doing? What would you say you know about crypto and blockchain that most people would disagree with you about?
Everything. No, the disagreements are not disagreements of fundamental technology or understanding of the blockchain. I think it's the disagreements of what cryptocurrency is supposed to be used for. I mean, 90% of you, I did a series of polls. 40,000 people per average answered each one. And everybody's using cryptocurrencies as an investment. Well, I take issue with that. I take serious issue with that. You have before you the most promising technology, weapon, power that the world has ever seen. And all you can do is say, how can I make a little money today off of that? Shame on you people. Shame on you. Because in the ICOs, that we see, I see such a beautiful potential future. And what happens, instead of getting behind the coin that could alter your lives and the lives of your children, not by being able to buy a Lambo, they're terrible cars, by the way, but by providing a function that enhances life, communication. We're getting behind one called UR Allowance, which is a blockchain or a smart contract-based token that parents and their children use for things like, if you mow the yard, you get 15 bucks. I put 15 bucks into the smart contract. We both agree the yard's mowed. You get the money. You mow the yard, but I have to say, no, wait a minute. It was supposed to be the backyard, too. Backyard, look here in the contract. Imagine what that will do to the communication between parents and their children. Think about it. No, please. It will bring them away for just a moment from the immersion into this artificial world in their palm to the real world of their family. Now, yes, I'll get behind that. But my fear is that token is going to go sky high and then suddenly we forget what it's used for. Please, God, this is a problem I've gone over. Thank you very much.
All right. Let's give him a great big hand. Great job. Thank you. Great job.
Thank you,
That was
sir.
awesome.
All right.
All right, so his team has asked that you don't approach him or the stage. He will be available to answer questions in the press room, but please don't approach him or his team. Apparently, some people can't understand English, but